What happens when someone survives what should have erased them completely? For Jamie Foxx, survival was never something accidental or ordinary. His life has been shaped by hardship, sharpened by struggle, and carried forward by an inner fire that refused to die. He is not simply a Hollywood star with awards on a shelf, but a man forged through abandonment, discipline, reinvention, and resilience. From embodying Ray Charles with breathtaking depth, to standing face to face with danger in Collateral, to redefining cinematic heroism in Django Unchained, Jamie has crossed worlds with rare authority. Yet behind the spotlight lies a story rooted in pain, in a small Texas town where nothing was promised, and where survival itself became the first lesson. That fire was tested again when a sudden medical crisis struck without warning, nearly ending his life, leaving him suspended between breath and darkness. He returned scarred, shaken, but unbroken, proving that even the brightest flame can flicker close to extinction and still ignite again. A childhood marked by absence. Jamie Foxx, born Eric Marlin Bishop on December 13, 1967, entered the world already touched by abandonment. His father drifted away from his life, and his mother, overwhelmed by her own circumstances, faded from daily presence until she was no longer there at all. By the time he was only 7 months old, Jamie was placed into the care of his grandmother, Estelle Marie Talley, a woman of unshakable faith and iron discipline. Her modest home in Terrell, Texas, offered no luxury, only structure, belief, and expectation. Estelle believed that discipline could protect a child from chaos, and she enforced it with a strength that allowed no weakness. In that house, Jamie learned early that life would not hand him comfort freely, and that survival required effort, order, and resilience. Music as both burden and refuge. Inside his grandmother's home, music became Jamie's first language of survival. Endless hours at the piano filled his childhood, his fingers struggling through Bach and Beethoven while other children ran freely outside. Each wrong note was corrected, each mistake repeated until precision was carved into memory. Music was not simply a lesson, it was a lifeline, giving him a voice when the world felt silent. Jamie would later say his grandmother gave him discipline, but she also gave him music, and in that truth lies the foundation of everything he became. The piano was both burden and refuge, demanding everything while offering him the only place where pain could transform into beauty. The loneliness behind the laughter. Even as music filled his home, the absence of parents left wounds that never fully healed. Birthdays came without a mother's embrace. School performances ended without a father's applause. Jamie has spoken about scanning the stands, hoping someone might arrive late, knowing no one would. Humor became his armor. He learned to make people laugh so they wouldn't see the loneliness underneath. Beneath the jokes lived a child who understood endurance long before applause. That loneliness shaped him, teaching him to survive emotionally by turning pain into performance and eventually turning survival into art. Adolescence. Forged through discipline. Jamie's teenage years were not defined by comfort, but by the deeper poverty of missing parental reassurance. Yet something formidable began to form. Gospel music gave him soul. Classical training gave him precision. His grandmother's discipline carved resilience into his bones. Even laughter, first used as protection, became a tool that would open doors beyond Texas. His childhood was a painful paradox, deprived of love, yet armed with the very tools that would make him unstoppable. From that fractured beginning, he emerged not broken, but shaped. The leap into comedy and reinvention. The stage promised light, but it also delivered harsh lessons. By the 1980s, Jamie's hunger stretched beyond music. At university in San Diego, he immersed himself in composition, mastering discipline while secretly craving something more dangerous: the raw electricity of a crowd. That hunger pulled him into comedy clubs, where hope lined up for hours and dignity could be stripped away in minutes. Comedy was combat. Unknown performers waited endlessly, praying for a microphone that might never come. To survive, Eric Marlon Bishop shed his birth name and became Jamie Foxx, choosing a name that could open doors in an industry that often closed them. It was not a gimmick, but a rebirth born from necessity. The grind that built his strength. Behind the glow of stage lights, the grind was merciless. There were no mentors to soften the blows, no connections to open doors. Jamie stood alone, armed only with jokes sharpened by desperation and timing carved from fear. Some nights, laughter erupted and lifted his heart. Other nights, silence fell like a blade. When jokes failed, he admitted it felt like he could disappear right there. In those moments, his grandmother's voice echoed, demanding discipline, reminding him that effort was the only currency he owned. Each rejection became a wound, each wound a lesson. The boy who once practiced alone was now performing symphonies of survival through punchlines, breaking into the mainstream. In 1991, persistence finally cracked the door open when Jamie joined in living color, bringing his fire into living rooms across America. Millions laughed with him, not just tired crowds in midnight clubs. Yet Hollywood labeled him a comedian and tried to keep him there. Throughout the 1990s, he fought to be taken seriously, proving his range through The Jamie Foxx Show, while still hungry for respect beyond laughter. Those years were not gilded. They were forged in rejection and driven by a refusal to vanish. A crown earned through transformation. When Hollywood finally crowned Jamie Foxx, the applause felt unreal. In 2004, he became Ray Charles in Ray, dissolving the line between actor and legend. He won an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and global admiration. That same year, Collateral earned him another Oscar nomination, confirming his arrival at the summit. From a boy dismissed as just a comedian, he had climbed into cinematic greatness. Yet even triumph carried weight. The Oscar was both crown and chain, proof of success, but also pressure to never fail again. Setbacks that tested his resolve. The industry remained merciless. Films like Stealth stumbled, and headlines spread faster than applause. Jamie had seen this pattern before. Success followed by judgment. Hollywood demanded perfection. Every script became a verdict, every role a test. Yet he refused to let failure define him. He answered with range, singing heartbreak in Dreamgirls, embodying vengeance and liberation in Django Unchained, radiating danger in Baby Driver, and carrying moral gravity in Just Mercy. Alongside acting, his music soared with Grammy wins and global hits, proving again that nothing was given, everything was earned. Fatherhood and the fear of repeating history. Even at the peak of fame, Jamie faced personal battles shaped by childhood scars. In 1994, he welcomed his first daughter, Corinne, and holding her grounded him more than any stage ever could. He vowed silently that he would never leave her, determined not to repeat the abandonment he had endured. Yet, he admitted he feared marriage, not from lack of love, but from fear of collapse and scarring his children. Instead, he chose presence over perfection, showing up for birthdays, recitals, and ordinary moments that mattered more than headlines. A second daughter and a deeper anchor. In 2008, Jamie welcomed his second daughter, Annalise, and by then, he had achieved everything the world celebrates. Yet none of it could erase the quiet ache of his past. Fatherhood became his way of outrunning the shadow of absence, proving to himself that love could endure where his own childhood love had failed. Both daughters later spoke of him as a protector, evidence that his devotion was stronger than the wounds he carried. The medical crisis that nearly ended everything. Jamie's resilience faced its greatest test when a sudden stroke struck without warning, nearly ending his life. He disappeared behind hospital walls as rumors swirled, and the world waited in fear. 20 days of memory were erased, moments lost forever, leaving scars no recovery could fully erase. Few return from such an abyss. Jamie did, shaken but alive, reminding everyone that survival itself can be miraculous, and that even legends are vulnerable to mortality. A human story beyond fame. Jamie Foxx is more than awards, music, or film roles. He is a living testament to survival, endurance, and reinvention. From a boy left behind in Terrell, Texas, to a man commanding stages worldwide, his journey reminds us that resilience is learned in the hardest moments, that talent is sharpened in struggle, and that love we give can outlast the love we lose. He has faced the abyss and returned, not unscarred, but stronger, continuing to write a life that blends brilliance with humanity. The final reflection. Jamie Foxx's journey teaches that greatness is not gifted, it is forged. His legacy lives not only in cinema and music, but in the proof that survival itself can become a masterpiece. Even when life threatens to erase us, the fire within can endure, inspire, and ignite again. Jamie Foxx did not simply survive, he transformed every hardship into a declaration of human strength, a legacy that will echo for generations.